Hey everyone, I am your astrologer, Wonder Girl, taking you to new heights. Here is your special Wonder Report for the Scorpio full moon, which will be happening on April 29th, 2018. It's a Sunday, and it will be happening at 6:57 p.m. Mountain Time. Okay, so that's what we're going to talk about here. What I see going on at this full moon is really a time for us to end some change in our life so that we can build more stability and build more confidence in our life, have more laser vision, doing more of the things that it is that we want to do. The reason why I believe that is because the moon is going to be in Scorpio, which is the sign of change a lot of times. It's the sign of instability, the sign of endings and beginnings. And I think with a full moon, we're ending, to me full moons indicate endings or culminations. We're ending a time of change or stepping into perhaps a lot of changes that it is that we have been making lately, okay? I think that's especially prominent because while we have this full moon happening in Scorpio, we also have Pluto and Mars conjunct together in Capricorn, and Pluto and Mars are actually the two rulers of Scorpio that just happen to be in a conjunction here. And I think this full moon is a big chance for us to really take all of these changes that we've been making to our life to put our life in a better direction, with Pluto and Mars being in Scorpio, or excuse me, in Capricorn, and to finally live, step into, own these changes and move forward on them in a much better way, okay? I think that to me is a lot of what is going on. If we aren't ending a time of change, then what could happen at this full moon is a lot of changes. Sometimes full moons bring peaks of energy, a lot of moves to make the final changes, to get everything done that we need to get done so that it is we can move forward. Scorpio as well also rules our intimate relationships with people, so business partners, deep, more intimate partners that we share our body with, that we share our time with as well. So it could also be a time of really trying to figure out our relationships with the people in our life that we are close to, and to step into some relationships hopefully that are better for us in some way, so that we can then start to build on those. Okay, the reason why I say more stability needs to come in is because I always look at where the sun is to figure out where we need to focus on, because that's of course where the new moon is going to be on the sun, and because the sun is the slower moving of the two, of the moon and the sun, and the moon and the sun is what makes a full moon or a new moon. So I always look at the sun to see where we need to direct our energy for more long term. And we have the sun here in the sign of Taurus, where it will be for a few more weeks. Again, and Taurus is a sign of stability, of confidence, of our money, bringing money into us, of our gifts and skills and talents, and of us kind of as an individual owning up to who we are, being confident with what we have and moving forward on that. And I think we're trying to end this time of change that we've been working on for quite some time, perhaps since the beginning of this year, to figure out some of our deep, intimate relationships with other people so that we can start to believe more in ourselves, be more confident in who we are, do what is important to us, move forward in a more stable and steady way now that we've changed our life, hopefully to be in more of a direction that it is that we want, working with people who really get us, all right? So that to me is what a lot of this full moon is about. Now this full moon is going to be in a square, almost exactly off by a degree with the nodes. We have the north node here in Leo, which both the sun and the moon are going to square, and the south node here in Aquarius as well, that are also going to be squared, since the nodes also directly oppose each other. And I think to me that indicates that this full moon is going to be a major gateway, like a special, like whenever there are squares to the nodes, I'm like, this is going to be like a major turning point. Whenever I see anything square the nodes, especially in this kind of way, I'm like, this is a major gateway, a turning point of some kind of like thing closing and new doors opening up, stepping into new things, new territories. And I think us really figuring out how to change our life to be what we want, to step into these changes, so that we can start to build more stability in our life, be more confident in who we are, being key to open up new doors for us. With the north node in Leo being key for us to find happiness, to find joy, to do what it is that we love, being key for us as well to lead. Leo is the sign of leadership, to lead our lives, to put ourselves out there on the stage, to show everyone our hearts and what we really like and what is really meant for us coming in. And I think this full moon is a major turning point and a major gateway to make sure that we are finally stepping into new chapters, things we've been working on, we've been wanting, that are really close to our heart for so long, so that we can finally step up with them, lead, move forward on them, feeling much better, and not feeling like everything is chaotic all over the place, and not feeling like we're living a life that we don't want. All right, so that's going on there. Another thing happening at this full moon is the full moon coming in here to a sextile with Saturn, which of course is also going to trine the sun. And I think what that can definitely bring here is us getting the change right, ending this time of change, stepping into a life that we really want, helping us to create more of the reputation that we want, to put our life in the right direction, to move forward, hopefully creating the social standing, the reputation that it is that we want, feeling much better about it all, okay? Coming in. And I see us really stepping into owning our power, stepping into these new chapters, or ending old chapters so we can eventually step into new ones at the new moon, being really, really key for us to start to unlock some major doors, put our life in a better direction, and start to feel much more stable, much more secure, much more confident than we have. Okay? So I think that's what's going on here. We also do have Mercury at this full moon coming into a trine here with the North Node. So I think the more you can own these changes that you're making, step into your power so that you can move forward in a more stable way, I think it's also going to help you too to communicate about what makes you happy, with Mercury in the trine to the North Node, to communicate about what you love, to communicate more freely about things that are going on, okay? So I do see it being a good thing. Venus as well, at the full moon in Gemini, is also going to be sextiling Chiron. So communicating with other people about the things we value, about the things that are important to us, maybe as well communicating about money, I think being very important to us to move forward. Perhaps now that we're starting to tie up some loose ends so that we can hone in on a path that's really important to us, move forward in one direction that we believe in, that's more stable and secure than we have in the past. I think really opening up some doors for us to communicate in a way that feels much better for us about the things that are really, really important, and to get more insight on how we can do things moving forward. It's almost like it was hard for us to communicate in the past because there was so much going on, so many deep feelings in life that were maybe hard to put into words. And it's almost like, excuse me, it's almost like now that this time of change is ending, of deep emotions, even of inner turmoil, I will say, that maybe has come on since the beginning of this year, maybe even a little bit before that. Now that this inner turmoil hopefully is starting to change, starting to die down, or we're starting to get more of a handle on it to figure out what we need to do next. I think with Venus here in Gemini in a sextile with Chiron, it's getting much easier for us now to communicate, because now we've got more of a handle on our feelings. We have more of an idea of what's going on. We're starting to build more security in our life and make some new projects that we've been working on while Saturn was in Sagittarius more familiar, and we're feeling more lighthearted, more free to express ourselves. And that in turn is helping us with Chiron and Aries to get a better idea of who we are and how we need to do things, and to move forward on that, even if there are still some things about it that could be a little bit uncomfortable as we move forward in this new direction in a more stable kind of way. All right, so that's what I see going on. I think that's all that I really wanted to mention here, but I think this to me is a major, major full moon, especially with it square the nodes, especially with it being in Scorpio, while Mars and Pluto, the two rulers of Scorpio, are conjunct, and a spot that we've had a lot of planets come through the beginning of this year. Like all the planets, we had a bunch of planets, I want to say the first few months of the year, that came through Sagittarius, where Saturn and Mars were hanging out for such a long time, Capricorn, where they crossed Saturn and Pluto, Aquarius. So we've had a bunch of planets in this part of the chart bringing major changes in our life in a very public way, and this is finally the time where we start to step into these changes. I feel like for those of you who've been watching me for a while have heard me say, maybe not in the past few weeks, but way before that, in the past month or two have heard me say, oh, we're getting rid of an old life and we're moving into a new one and we're transitioning, coming in, and I've been mentioning that over and over and over. And I think this is the moment. This full moon is really it. It's really it, where it's like, okay, finally all that crazy time of change is finally over and we're starting to move forward in a much more stable way. And I think when we get the new moon coming in Taurus, we're going to start to feel like, okay, we're moving forward. We've committed to a path. We've committed to some changes that we're making. We've stepped into these changes and we're doing what needs to be done to move in that direction. And I think this is the moment where we finally are like, you know what? I am done with the past. The past is over. I have nothing. I'm going to wipe my hands of that. I am officially putting it behind. I'm seeing the results, the fruits of all of that labor, of all of that struggle, and I'm going with it, moving on. Okay. And starting to associate more and more with the future. All right. Yeah. And I know I've been saying that for a while, like, oh, we're getting rid of the old, we're stepping into the new coming, but I really do think that we are. I mentioned this earlier, the final gateway to finally step into this transition. And maybe this transition took a little longer than we liked, than we anticipated, than I explained that it would take to go from an old life into a new, but I think the portal is here and we're starting to move forward. Okay, another reason why I think that forward thinking is going to be a huge thing while we are no longer, after this full moon, engaged in the past, involved in the past, and while we're stepping into a new life, is also because next month, coming in May, huge Uranus, major player this whole next month, because Uranus is moving into the 29th degree of of Aries before it moves into Taurus the middle of May, and because we have Mars as it enters Aquarius going to square Uranus, it will retrograde back and over in the next back and forth over in the next month or two. And Uranus is the most forward-thinking planet of the bunch. It has no regard for tradition, no regard for the way things are, the way things used to be. Uranus could care less. I could care less how things used to be. What does the future look like? What could my life be potentially? I don't care about tradition. Let me do something no one else has done before. Let me break tradition and move forward. And I think that's what's starting to come in, is we're finally clearing it all out, stepping into some life we've been working towards, so that the next month we're going to be all about the future, stepping into the future. And with Mars in a square with Uranus, I think we're going to be very frustrated if we do not have the future that it is that we want. And I think we could go to great lengths to make the future manifest. And now is that point where we finally are all on board with where we are going and where we're full speed ahead after this full moon. And once the new moon comes here in Taurus, to really make a new life, a better life future manifest, and to do what we can to make it happen and to not let anyone stop us. Okay, so that's what I have got there. Okay, I think I might bring the tarot card back, so I'll pull one card for the full moon. What I've got here, the six of swords, which is definitely leaving an old life of hard times, of troubled waters. If you can see it here, there's someone carrying a person on a boat out of troubled waters into more steady, stable, calm waters. So I definitely think that's what's going on. If you feel like your life has been tumultuous with a bunch of Pluto stuff going on at the beginning of this year, I think the tumultuous stuff is ending and clear waters are coming. Stable waters, feeling much better about your life, like you have more an idea of what's going on and aren't fighting so much against the current. All right, so that's what I'm gonna do. Now I'm gonna hop right in to your horoscopes by sun sign. If you are interested in seeing what this full moon in Scorpio means for your sun sign, your moon sign, or your rising, please click the link down below in my description box in order to purchase the full report to see all of the signs. It's going to be one long video. It's going to have all 12 signs included, so you can definitely see all your 3 signs, your rising, your moon, and sun, go back and forth, watch it again, that kind of thing. So that's what I've got for you. Again, please check down below in the description box for more on where you can see those, and I will talk to you later.